Hello, I briefly wanted to talk about motivated lighting for those of you who don't quite feel like you understand it. Ostensibly, when you're making a movie, all the light is fake. Not all of it, but a lot of times. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples. When you're thinking about motivated lighting, what you're doing is you're trying to get exposure on your scene in a way that looks good for the film, looks correct for the film, but also doesn't draw attention to itself. You don't want the light to seem like it doesn't make any sense, right? So what you do is you look at your scene and you see where the light sources are. A lot of time it's a window, right? And then you augment from there. Now, sometimes the window might not even be lighting your subject. For instance, that's what the window looks like if it's just the window, and also Audacity over here. This is what that looks like, but that doesn't look good, right? So I've got this little light here. It's only at like maybe 5%, something like that. But now that looks correct. Now, you earlier probably thought that the window was doing this because it looks natural, right? The scene makes it seem like all the light's coming from there. So all light, if it's matched, right? If this was orange, it wouldn't look right. But since it's the same color temperature, the light's coming in, you buy it, right? And you don't need to think about it in a 3D sense. Something you'll see a lot is like, oh, light will be back here. And then the key light is coming from this side, even though technically that wouldn't work. You think of it kind of in a 2D plane, not necessarily a 3D plane. But I'm going to show you some examples from random films that I've grabbed stills from and show how we think about motivated lighting, where it applies, where it's not necessarily necessary, and we'll go from there. So we've got some photos here, and I'm just going to run through them. So I said open. There we go. So this is from Chinatown. And like I said in the example I just showed you, here's a window, right? And then on Faye Dunaway here, you can see this is a big way to figure out if what the lighting is. You look in the eyes, right? Because with an orb, you've seen them on like CG shoots. You see that reflective orb. It's to show the CG people where everything is in the scene, but also the light sources. So you see we've got one, maybe two, that could just be a reflection of something, and what looks like maybe another one right here. That, honestly, the way that's shaped makes me think that's punching into the ceiling maybe, but this is clearly her key light. So we're motivating the light that's hitting her face with the window, even though technically the window is lighting her back, right? Here, this is from Les Samurai, same thing. This light is behind him, but clearly there's a light. You can almost see the reflection right here. There's a light hitting him this way. And honestly, another one, if we look at the shadow, there's another one down here lighting him that way, right? Is this starting to make sense when I'm talking about a 2D space as opposed to a 3D space? Here, this is from Les Samurai as well, I believe. And you can see no motivation. This light is just coming from the ceiling, right? And it's in the rest of the scene, you can see it's just like super flatly lit. But we know they're in a hotel room, so the idea of a light on like in the ceiling makes sense. Now, this is back in the day when they were shooting ISO 10 film or whatever. So they needed a lot of light. But if you look at the shadows, you can see it's very, very soft here, which makes me think big source up top. Okay. Right here, same thing. This is still the conformist. Same thing, right? We've established that the light's not coming through the window here. And these windows are more than likely gelled. Maybe not. Could be very, very, because they were shooting with tungsten light. There were, we didn't have daylight balanced lights back then. So there's a bunch of tungsten light in the roof, and then either the color difference, the temperature difference outside is making this so blue, or they've gelled these lights, gelled these windows. But again, we're in a big room and it's nighttime or twilight. So we're like, all right, we just buy instinctually that there's a big light in the ceiling. This is from Saltburn. Same kind of thing where they're in a bar and we assume that the bar has a window. Now, in this scene, we probably established that there is a window. That's kind of one thing, a trick we'll show you in a second, where you establish a scene and then you don't see the source of the motivated lighting, but we buy it, right? So this big window over here, you can see in his eye right here, that's the window, or maybe it's a light source, but that's the window. And then right here, you see another one. That's what's filling in his face here. And then we've got some scratch light over here from whatever. But what is giving him level on his face is this light that's to camera left. This big scratch here on the side is from the window or whatever's playing for the window. Now, same thing, Saltburn, we've got the window behind her. Now your instinct might be, okay, well then we'll light from this side. But as you may know, maybe not, you always want to shoot into the shadows. Not always, but you tend to want to shoot into the shadow side so that you get some contrast, make some depth, right? Other flat lighting looks gross. So we can see in her eyes here, there's some big soft source. Notice how it's not like super pingy. It's got like it's very diffuse. So there's a big soft source somewhat close to camera on left that's lighting her here. But we still buy this, right? So it's not always about every light source has to be motivated, right? It's just the kind of the correct way to do it. Now, this light may be giving her this top light. I don't think so. Just the way that the environment is being lit, I think there's another light up top here, and they shot this on film. So they probably did need the extra level. But this doesn't look unnatural because, again, we're in a room where we believe maybe there's a light source in the ceiling, but also because there's all this natural light coming in, maybe it's bouncing around the room and lighting her. As long as you can mentally explain it and you're looking at it and it doesn't look wrong, that passes. Here we go, Saltburn again. So we've got this wide shot establishing that the fireplace here is the source of the light, right? And there's all these little lanterns, but you could use that, but they didn't. So there, now we get this close up and you can see in her eyes, this square light, right? That's hitting her. So in the wide, we established firelight. This light isn't doing anything. It's lighting this table for level, basically. But these two are being lit by whatever this source is, right? It's not the literal fireplace. We've established that there's a fireplace. Now we can go in and put whatever source that we want as close to her as we need, whatever we need to do to make this believable, right? Just a couple more here. The Matrix. Okay, where's this light coming from? Well, clearly this Kino tube down here. Like, this is an example where they're just like, you know what? Light him. Make it look cool. And that's perfectly acceptable. Obviously, you've got all this light back here, and that's giving us this level. But the light that's getting him is this bar here, which is more than likely a Kino. And that's totally fine because the type of film The Matrix is hyper stylized, right? And stylization means that light doesn't have to be motivated necessarily, right? But we're still shooting into the shadow side. But without this light, he would just be completely in darkness. And it's a quick scene. If you remember The Matrix, he just kind of looks at him and goes, "No, your men are already dead." And he walks away. So here is another interesting one, right? We've got this light here. You can see there's a light over here. We can assume that there's maybe another sconce or whatever these are called over to the right. So that's probably what's lighting him up top, right? But we can see there's a ton of light in here. Well, I actually have a open matte trailer of The Matrix. And so let me find that real quick. And so here's what an open matte trailer is. Basically, when you used to watch movies that were shot on film, they wouldn't, if like this probably went before a movie that was not anamorphic, because you'd give the film projector, the people who projected it, if the movie was anamorphic, the trailers also had to be anamorphic, right? unless they did a real change. I don't know this for sure, but it makes total sense. I probably could ask someone, but because they had to put an anamorphic lens in front of that projector, right, to de-squeeze the image. So this movie is open gate. Now, The Matrix was not shot anamorphic, as evidenced by the fact that we have an open gate trailer. Now, remember, this is not the way that the film was supposed to be viewed. If we were going to watch this in scope, right, 239, without anamorphic lenses projecting, then we needed to matte the screen. So there's a bunch of stuff top and bottom that you're not supposed to see in the movie, in this trailer, etc. So this is not the quote unquote correct way to see it, and this will be evidenced very soon. If I can find the, you can see where this mat was probably supposed to go in some of this, but okay, boom, here we go. So we can see there's actually a light up here that's lighting the wall, lighting Morpheus. You've got T marks on the floor where people are supposed to be. This is all supposed to be gone in the trailer. This is probably the flag on the matte box, the eyebrow. But you can see this is lighting him. Here's your motivation for this. Here's the light that was actually hitting him. And when we go to that earlier screenshot, right? See all this light? Now all this makes sense because these two little bulbs here are not lighting this whole room, right? We're really only probably lighting here. You can see the color difference a little bit. But we need to expose the whole scene. So that's what we're doing. And obviously, so you probably notice like this is brown and the other one's green. And this is because, this is some scan that a guy did online and isn't necessarily representative of what the film is supposed to look like. So if we go through here, we can even see now this has less to do with motivated lighting and more to just show you some cool stuff about open matte. So here you go. Here's another Kino or something. This barn door makes me think it's a Kino, but this is giving him that scratch light. But this, I think this is I don't even know actually, but this is supposed to be cropped out. We'll see some more here for a second. Let's see if we can find any more examples of motivated lighting. This is just fun to watch, isn't it? Oh, there was some hidden lights. You can see them right here. I don't think those are in the film, but these are motivated by all the screens, right? All the stuff. This is like when we were still doing What is the Matrix, right? So they were being very cagey. You just forget everything. If you weren't around, sorry, for when this movie was being advertised in 99, bro, it was electric right here. Boom. Oh man, how do I go back? Like a frame. Let me show you something fun. This is the cherry picker that he jumped off, right? To land there. Also, fun fact, this whole set from the opening from The Matrix is a roof set from the movie Dark City. They were shooting in Australia and The Matrix showed up, which was relatively low budget. Interestingly enough. And they just reused a set from Dark City. If you watch Dark City, it shows up and you're like, that's from The Matrix. So yeah, that opening scene. So there we go. More eyebrow here. Another one you just saw. And I guess you can pause some of this if you, there's another one. So you can see the reflection off the bottom of it. There's another one. We also get a little bit of, at some point here, Trinity. And this is how you know this is not the way, this is not the true, because people go like, I want the open matte version of various movies. And you're like, that's not that's not their true version, right? Let the filmmakers do what they want. I wonder if this will get flagged. Oh, there's a microphone. But I was going to show you Kansas is going bye-bye. There's like some extra stuff. We're in the lobby. There's that. There we go. Boom. There's the top of the lobby. You can just see straight through it to the rigging. They did the wire replacement for the trailer, but they didn't go all the way to, you can see the wire right here. You'll have to probably watch it back, but you can see the wire, but they cut it out for right here because they're like, well, people are going to see that. Or I don't even, there's some stuff. Anyway, that's just fun to show. But I hope that explains motivated lighting to you in a way that is accessible, makes sense. The big keys here are that you want to make sure that the light color temperature matches the light you're motivating from, right? So if it's coming from the window, you want a daylight balance. If coming from a sconce, if this was motivating light on this side of his face, we'd want these, your film light to be the same color. And a pro move is, instead of just going, oh, it's window, therefore 5600 because daylight is 5600. Yeah, not really. I mean, maybe. But I know at my house, like the window from the intro, the light coming in there is actually about 6,000, right? So if you get a color meter, you can get what are called XY coordinates, which are more exact, and you can match exactly if your light has the technology, the light coming in. So that's motivated lighting. Hopefully that's helpful. We'll see you later.